Hello all you freedom-loving people. Welcome to another episode of Front Page. I'm your host, Scott Cameron Goulet. Under the pressure of public opinion, the National School Board Association finally apologized. But the apology does not mean that there is any action yet. Whether or not there will be any actual change depends on how strong the public voice is. Movie actor Alec Baldwin misfired a prop gun and caused 1 death and 1 injury, who was ultimately responsible for this tragedy that never should have happened. Many people may not like Vladimir Putin, but we can't deny that he is a capable and thoughtful person. Recently, he sharply criticized the woke ideology that dominates the Western world, and he was also outspoken about the CCP with no regard for its feelings. Okay, let's get into it. It's another victory for parents who are boycotting critical race theory and LGBTQ ideology. The National School Board Association, the NSBA, apologized for its letter to call for help from federal law enforcement in order to assist with what they called threats and violence from parents and protesters. The letter reads, "On behalf of the NSBA, we regret and apologize for the letter." It noted that there was no justification for some of the language included in the letter. The leftist-controlled NSBA sent a letter to Biden, citing the chaos at the Loudoun County School Board meeting in June. They said some of the arguments between school board members and parents amounted to domestic terrorism and asked the Justice Department to provide federal law enforcement to protect school officials. In one of our episodes last week, we detailed the events leading up to the chaos at the Loudoun County School Board meeting. I left the link in the description below if you're not familiar with the case. Attorney General Merrick Garland sent a memo to the FBI that instructed them to take the lead in addressing threats against school officials. This included invoking the Patriot Act to combat domestic terrorism. The memo raised an outcry from critics because the DOJ was basically labeling parents as domestic terrorists. A person familiar with Garland's approach told Fox News that Garland and the Department of Justice officials are pleased with NSBA's letter, as it is now in line with his statement made in front of the House Judiciary. It shows that the Attorney General was solely focused on preventing violence and not focused on calling parents domestic terrorists. Representative Chip Roy reacted to the letter in a tweet on Friday asking, "Will the AG reverse?" Senator Josh Hawley took it a step further and called on Garland to resign on Saturday. Of course, this is not the final victory. The NSBA's letter clearly shows that the reason for their apology is because of extensive media attention recently pertaining to the matter. Until the Department of Education withdraws all plans to promote CRT and leftist ideologies, parents will have to continue to make their voices heard. The accidental shooting and killing on a Hollywood film set, which involved Alec Baldwin, has been widely tracked by the media. The incident happened on October 21st on the set of the independent film Rust, in which Alec Baldwin was the star and producer. He fired a prop gun and killed the 42-year-old director of photography, Halyna Hutchins. Another male director was also injured. Baldwin's acting career spans over 40 years. It has been marked by many ups and downs. In 1990, he starred in The Hunt for Red October, together with Sean Connery, and gained much popularity. Because of his temperamental attitude, he also received a lot of negative publicity. In 2002, he ended his 10-year marriage with actress Kim Basinger and went to court over the custody of their children. Since then, his alcohol abuse and domestic violence issues have been made public. In 2006, Baldwin switched career paths to become a comedian, and his career began to rebound. It wasn't until he joined Saturday Night Live as an impersonator of Donald Trump during the 2016 presidential election that his popularity took off. However, the accidental shooting will undoubtedly add more gloom to Baldwin's acting career. A legal expert told the New York Post that Baldwin is likely to face an onslaught of legal challenges, including possible criminal charges. According to Showbiz 411, an eyewitness said the distressed actor kept frantically asking why he was handed a hot gun, a firearm with real ammunition. Baldwin said repeatedly, according to the witness, "In all my years, I've never been handed a hot gun." The actor was seen in tears as he spoke into a cell phone outside the sheriff's office. In another photo, the actor was seen bent over at the edge of a parking lot with his hands on his knees. Many things may be difficult to explain scientifically, but when you think about it, accidents don't always happen for no reason. The use of firearms on a film set have a set of established and clear safety rules. All weapons must be strictly managed by licensed armorers. Actors should also receive firearms safety training, and the use of live ammunition is absolutely prohibited. Usually a real gun with blanks will be used, but it is still quite dangerous because there will be cartridges, gunpowder, paper filler, or wax inside in order to create realistic fire and spark. Hollywood firearms consultant Brian Carpenter told the New York Post that Baldwin should never have pointed a gun at another human, even if he believed it was safe. Carpenter said, loaded or unloaded, a weapon never gets pointed at another human being. Who put the real bullets in the gun is now a mystery, but it is clear that Baldwin violated all the safety guidelines himself. Not only was the gun assumed to be empty, but the muzzle was pointed at the person and then the trigger was pulled. The cinematographer and the director should never have been the persons that he aimed at in the film. Ignoring safety rules is bound to result in tragedy. Another legislator who crossed the ethical lines may also soon fall from influence. After a population decline in Illinois for the first time in 200 years, the 2020 census has now left Illinois with just 17 seats. The congressional map will be updated to show the changes. Adam Kinzinger, a vocal critic of President Donald Trump, is also a member of the January 6th Commission. He might have expected the Democrats to reward his service to their cause by preserving his Chicago 16th district. The reality is quite the opposite. Democrats in the Illinois state legislature released their proposed new congressional district map. The 16th district has now been divided. It is now being added to a new version of the 3rd district, which has been Democratic for decades. If Kinzinger runs in 2022 against the incumbent Representative Marie Newman, he is likely to be defeated and his political career will end there. Before we move on to Vladimir Putin blasting wokeness in the West, please like and share this video to help us spread the truth. And if you are able to, please consider supporting us by donating to our donor box. The link is donorbox.org/front-page. We here at Front Page thank you for your support. Okay, let's get back into it. Russian President Vladimir Putin slammed the far-left woke ideology on Thursday. He said that this culture is causing societal ills throughout the Western world, and it is no different than what happened in Russia during the 1917 revolution. Putin made the remarks during the 18th annual Valdai Discussion Club meeting. The main topic of the meeting was global shakeup in the 21st century. Putin's remarks were translated by an interpreter, and the video has been uploaded to the Russian government's website. In his speech, Putin did not approve of the so-called progressive ideas of Western society.
None of our business what is happening, the social and cultural shocks that are happening in some countries, in the Western countries. Some believe that aggressive blotting out of whole pages of your own history, the affirmative action in the interest of minorities, and the requirement to renounce the traditional interpretation of such basic values as mother, father, family, and the distinction between sexes are a milestone towards a renewal of society. It's their right. They can do that if they want to. We're not trying to meddle into that, but we have a different point of view.
In his hour-long speech, Putin said that Western nations had a right to do whatever they wanted to do, but that the overwhelming majority of Russian society rejects these new ways of thinking.
The recipes they come up with are nothing new. Paradoxical as it may seem, but this is something we saw in Russia. It happened in our country before. After the 1917 revolution, the Bolsheviks followed the dogmas of Marx and Engels, and they also declared that they were going to change the traditional lifestyle, the political, the economic lifestyle, as well as the very notion of morality, the basic principles for a healthy society. They were trying to destroy age and century-long values, revisiting the relationship between people. They were encouraging, informing on one's own beloved and families. It was hailed as the march of progress, and it was very popular across the world, and it was supported by many, as we see it is happening right now.
He said that what is currently happening in Western society is like what the Bolsheviks did.
The Bolsheviks were absolutely intolerant of other opinions, different from their own. And I think this should remind you of something that is happening. And we see what is happening in the Western countries, it is with puzzlement that we see the practices Russia used to have and that we left behind in distant past. The fight for equality and against discrimination turns into an aggressive dogmatism on the brink of absurdity when great authors of the past, such as Shakespeare, are no longer taught in schools and universities because they are announced as backward classics that did not understand the importance of gender or race.
Putin warned that the next step in this ideology is the nationalization of property and the nationalization of women.
You know, the Bolsheviks were speaking about nationalizing not just the property but also women. The proponents of new approaches go so far as they want to eliminate the whole notions of men and women. And those who dare say that men and women exist and this is a biological fact, they are all but banished. Parent number one, parent number two, or the parent that has given birth, or instead of breast milk you say human milk. And you say all of that so that people who are not sure of their sex or gender are not unhappy.
Western society is experiencing what Russia experienced 100 years ago.
And I would like to say that this is not something new. In the 1920s, the Soviet Kulturträger came up with the so-called newspeak, and they thought that thereby they were building a new consciousness and coming up with new values. And they went so far that we feel the consequences up until now.
Finally, he said that condoning transgender children is a crime against humanity.
There are some monstrous things when, from a very young age, you teach to children that a boy can easily become a girl, and you impose on them this selection, this choice. You push the parents aside and make the child take these decisions that can destroy their lives. And if we call a spade, this is nigh to a crime against humanity, and all of that under the banner of progress. Well, some people just want to do that.
At the same meeting, Putin made other surprising remarks. In an interview with the media, he replied succinctly that there is no closed military bloc between Russia and China, no plans of a Russian-Chinese military alliance, and that all speculations in this regard are unfounded. These remarks have caused an uproar in China. When comparing the military power and strategic abilities between China and the United States, CCP experts and media consistently list Russia as an important military and strategic partner supporting the CCP. This has become the standard belief of the party media, and their analyses and comments have created the illusion that a military alliance has been established between Russia and China. Putin's words are spoken so directly that CCP officials are unable to comment. Neither can they admit that their own government has been lying, nor do they dare to say that what Putin said is not the truth. At a CCP press conference, the Russian media outlet called TASS asked the Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman Wang Wenbin about Putin's talk. Wang said, "China and Russia are not allies, but we are closer than allies." Wang's remarks drew widespread ridicule from Chinese people on the internet. Undeterred by the CCP's boycott, NBA star and Boston Celtics center Enes Kanter continues to speak against the CCP's human rights violations. Kanter first spoke out last Wednesday, denouncing the Chinese Communist government's brutal rule over Tibet. Kanter said in a video post on his social media, "I'm here to add my voice and speak out about what is happening in Tibet. Under the Chinese government's brutal rule, the Tibetan people's basic rights and freedoms are non-existent." The basketball player's video sparked an outcry from Chinese fans on social media, with some vowing to stop watching the NBA. A Celtics fan account with more than 600,000 followers declared that it would no longer post about the team after Kanter's statement. By Thursday afternoon, search results on the Chinese internet about Kanter had been filtered. On the day that Kanter posted the video, Chinese tech giant Tencent abruptly cut off the live stream during the Celtics opening game against the New York Knicks. On Tencent's sport app, The next NBA games are marked to be available for viewing, but the Boston Celtics games are not there. On Thursday, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman Wang Wenbin said that Kanter was trying to get attention and that his remarks were not worthy to refute. The spokesman said, "We will never accept those attacks to discredit Tibet's development and progress." But Kanter didn't back down. On Friday, October 22nd, he tweeted out another video.
The Chinese government has been taking sweeping measures to crack down on the Uyghur people, simply because they embrace their own religion, their own culture, language, history, and identity.
On Sunday, he posted out another tweet. "Xi Jinping and the Chinese Communist Party. Someone has to teach you a lesson. I will never apologize for speaking the truth. You cannot buy me. You cannot scare me. You cannot silence me." Kudos to Kanter and to those who are waking up to the CCP and are daring to speak up about it. The CCP is not only persecuting its own people, it is also threatening the United States by stealing large amounts of technology and trade secrets. Over the weekend, we published an exclusive episode on our membership site about this issue. I want to show you the trailer. The CCP stealing intellectual property from the United States has been identified as a major problem by senior U.S. law enforcement and intelligence officials. In 2020, FBI Director Christopher Wray said that the extent of the CCP's technology and trade secrets theft is so massive that it represents one of the largest transfers of wealth in human history. The situation does sound disheartening, so what is our response in the face of such blatant crimes? Half a century ago, the Soviet Union used similar tactics to steal massive amounts of American scientific and technological information. Unfortunately for them, their opponent was President Ronald Reagan. Reagan very cleverly made the Soviet Union suffer. Let's see what we can learn from President Reagan and whether history can foretell what's going to happen to the CCP. Watch this exclusive episode on our membership site, frontpageshow.com. Okay, this is our show for today. Thank you for tuning in. If you like what you heard, please don't forget to like and subscribe this video and share it with your friends and family because everybody deserves to know the truth. Again, thank you for watching Front Page, and we will see you next time.